But we have another story. We have a clip, I believe, from the Young Turks. Well, no, it's actually from the Radican show, I think, where Think Uger from the Young Turks, he's a commentator on there, a weekly commentator, and he spoke on Bush's, like, he put out memoirs about his, about his 8 years as being president. And I guess in these memoirs, Bush said it's the worst time during his presidency. Just guess. It's not 9/11. It wasn't Katrina. It wasn't, the war. It was when Kanye West called him a racist.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And if you don't believe me, we're going to go right to this clip, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it.
All right, forget those two wars, the complete collapse of our financial system, or even 9/11. In George W. Bush's soon-to-be-released memoir, he describes the following as the worst moment of his presidency.
The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
The Young Turk, Cenk Uygur, back with some of the headlines you might not have seen about the Bush 43 memoir. Sir.
That's always a wonderfully awkward moment.
Yes.
But apparently it really got to Bush. He said in his book, and I quote here, "I face a lot of criticism as president. I didn't like hearing people claim that I lied about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction or cut taxes to benefit the rich. But the suggestion that I was a racist because of the response to Katrina represented an all-time low." So let me get this right. We went to Iraq based on false premises, whether he lied about it or not. There were no weapons of mass destruction. That war was just wrong. And what happened in that war? 4,427 United States troops killed, but that wasn't an all-time low. There were 66,000 civilians killed at least, Iraqi civilians, but that wasn't an all-time low. There was 1,836 people killed in Hurricane Katrina, but that wasn't an all-time low. And by the way, there was 8 million jobs lost because of the recession he created, the Great Recession, but that wasn't an all-time low. And by the way, also, there was a little thing called 9/11 on Bush's watch, and that wasn't an all-time low. But Kanye dissed you, and that was your all-time low? Well, oh, no, Kanye doesn't like you. Did your feelings get hurt, George? You know what George Bush said when the CIA gave him a memo while he was on vacation as usual in Crawford, saying, "We're going to get attacked by Al-Qaeda in Washington and New York." He said, quote, "All right, you've covered your ass now." And he went back on vacation. And then we lost all those people on 9/11. But that wasn't the all-time low. Kanye dissed them. That was a low. Now, that isn't even the most startling part of the book. In the book, he also admits to a war crime. He said when they asked him, hey, should we waterboard Khalid Sheikh Mohammed? He admits it. In the book, he says, I told them, damn right. Go ahead and torture him, basically. Now, the quote right there is damn right, and this refers to waterboarding, okay? Now, is waterboarding really a war crime? Well, it's against the Geneva Conventions, which is international law, which we sign, and when we sign it, it becomes supreme law of the land here in the United States of America. But that's not just theoretical. We've prosecuted people for waterboarding before. I'm going to get to that in a second. But let's see what the generals think. One of our top generals is going to talk to Carl Levin here while Bush was still president, mind you. Here's his testimony.
General, do you believe that waterboarding is consistent with Common Article 3 of the Geneva Conventions?
No, sir, I don't.
Do you believe it's humane?
No, sir, I think it would go beyond that bound.
Well, he's not alone in thinking that, because here are the prosecutions we've done for waterboarding in this country. After the Spanish-American War, U.S. soldiers were court-martialed. After World War II, Japanese soldiers were convicted for waterboarding, a violation of our laws. And in 1983, a Texas sheriff was sentenced to 10 years in prison for waterboarding. Now, it seems to me we've got a confession here of a war crime, and a clear violation of international and United States law. President George W. Bush should go to jail for at least 10 years. Will that happen? Not with an administration that only wants to look forward and never backward to crimes that were actually committed.
Are you surprised? Actually, I don't have enough time to talk about it. I'm going to let that rant stand for itself. I will interrogate you no further. Thank you for joining us today and offering your fine and insightful and informed commentary both at the beginning and the end of our show. Every DR show should begin and end with a Young Turk. Check them out, youngturks.com.
All right, we're back. So have you had a chance to actually read those memoirs? Have you even heard of that? Heard of his book that he put out?
No, I had seen some clips about his memoirs that were coming out and had seen a few headlines of the different articles that was going to be in those, but have not read that much on it. But that's, wow, it's kind of interesting. So my biggest question is, if this violated the Geneva Accord and this violated, obviously, international law, why is no one bringing him up on charges? We're not the only country in the world.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like, this man could have prevented 9/11, which I tell everybody, 9/11 started this downward spiral that we're in right now. As far as the economy and everything is concerned, 9/11 was pretty much the kickoff to all of that.
Yeah.
And to know that this could have possibly been prevented, even Katrina. You know, Katrina, you can't prevent that. That's a natural disaster. But to know that you could have gotten people evacuated and we could have lost fewer lives, if any at all, and this guy has not been held accountable for any of this, it's sickening. It says a lot about, I don't know, it says a lot about people. If this loser as a president and as a leader, you know, is more concerned about his vacationing and having a good time and his perks as a president, if he could get away with this, what does that say about this country?
Yeah. And, you know, the one thing that I'm going to say about the waterboarding incident is, let's be realistic. Back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, when we had a CIA, and I know we have a CIA today, but when we had a CIA that, and this will be kind of, this is going to sound bad, I guess, but I don't mean it to be that way, a CIA that had some balls, they got a lot of stuff done now, given we have found that they violated the rights of a lot of good people over the years. They did, and I'm not saying that that's right. I'm still saying that that's wrong. But when it comes to Homeland Security, as it would have applied back then, by God, they got some stuff done now. Look during Kennedy's administration. You know, CIA was doing a lot of work there behind the scenes. And there was a lot of stuff that they really did do in defense of the country. And sometimes they done it by cruel means. Sometimes they tortured people to get their answers. Now, I'm not saying it's right to torture anybody. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is every country does it. Every country has done it. It doesn't make it right. But when we have an example of a president that full forcefully condoned it and publicly admits, yeah, I told him to do it and went for it, why is that not being brought up on charges?
Right. And I think that's the main point that he was trying to make, you know, about that. And, you know, it's just really ironic that, you know, that someone that pretty much has ruined or at least is one of the chief causes of, like, the world economy being, not just here, just, like, worldwide, for the economy being the way it is now, he's not even being held responsible for it. Everybody's looking at Obama now.
Yeah. It's like did they think that he was going to come into office and magically fix things in like 6 months? Oh, okay, he's here 6 months, it'll all be better. No, it didn't go to hell overnight.
Yeah, you're right.
And nobody considers that, there was 8 years of time for it to go to hell. I even think, being a little bit on the conservative side of it, I think it would probably, for everything to get at least moving in a 2 thumbs up direction, it would probably take President Obama more than 1 term to get it going in that direction.
Right.
And that's even, if, you can't truly judge a president's merit until they're out of office, but that's even if he got the highest approval rating in the history of the United States. It would take more than 1 term to really see a true effect after 8 years of it going downhill.